Okay, we can come from several different directions, but we'll go with this one first. We have a chat candle here, but we're going to talk about why this is not going to be a plus setup. It's not because it's not chat. It's not because we don't have a good POI. We do right there. Oh, by the way, this is that other video where this is, if you see this shaded color right there, that's the first candle of the day. That's the 1800-hour candle. And the reason it's green and it opened down here was that there was a gap. So the 1600-hour candle closed there, and we opened 1800 here. And we did close above the close of the 1600. That's why this is green. So that's incidental. That's a gap right there. That's why the color looks so weird. There's a gap down here, and we close higher than the close of this one. In any case, that's a separate topic. So now we have a chat candle, we have the retracement, we have the point of interest. That's what you saw right there. This blue line right there on the 1 hour. So this is the POI, this is the chat candle, and we have engaged the point of interest, and it is beyond the 50% retracement. So we have the fib there too, but now we're looking at the SysD, or the inverse value gap, inverse fair value gap, and this is where we're gonna weed out this as a setup. I haven't seen what the rest of this looks like, but we are going to talk about why this is not A+, because even though we sweep here and we have this SysD, we have this one strong candle going up, and then it kind of has a luster drift down. So it's kind of like this. We have a peak, we potentially can sweep it right here, but the sweeping is kind of got this curve to it. And even the fair value gap on the 15-second, we go up, we exceed this high, but we kind of slowly drift down in these little tiny candles. Versus, I drew it out, what I would have liked to have seen was more, we make a peak, we drift up, and then we go straight down. That would be better. We drift up, we sweep the liquidity here, and then we have a strong reaction straight down, versus this kind of wide, lazy drift down that doesn't really say anything. Or this one, if it looked like this, we would be good, because this is the peak. We go up, and we would go have that strong 1 minute close down resoundingly with volume. This is all lackluster. This is all lazy drift down. Put another example here. We make a peak, we go up. We can go up kind of strong, but in a short burst to grab that liquidity, and boom, down. That SysD would look good versus this drifting type right there. I also want to talk about why I'm working so hard, or why there's this draw, why this drive to really look so hard. And when you're looking this hard to try to figure out, is this a good SysD, is this not a good SysD, you're working too hard. It is up to the market to convince you. You don't have to convince yourself, and you don't have to convince the market. The market needs to convince you. So the ones that work look like this with a straight down candle. It drifts up. I mean, it doesn't, it kind of drifts up, or if it goes up in a short, tiny burst and comes straight down. Not this strong candle up and then this drift down, with the SysD level technically being here, and that's fine. That is the SysD line, but look at how we're engaging with that SysD line. We don't have this, boom, with the SysD line. So by the time we get to here, we've had so many conditions already met. And that's one reason the less than A plus setups will often work out still, because all in all, we still had the chat candle. We still had the engagement of the point of interest. We still had the more than 50% fib. So, and then we did have even a VWAP rejection here. So this could well go to target. There's good reason it could go to target, right? But that's not the process that we're working with. We're process oriented. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. In fact, in a moment we'll scroll and see what happens with this trade setup. But to me, this is not A plus, and the only reason it's not A plus is because of the entry model. We don't have this look. 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 Instead, we have this lazy drift down and very little volume. But that's not to say it's not going to work out. In fact, many non-A plus trades will go straight to target, straight down after here, and many A plus setups will reverse on you and stop you out. But we don't trade in the hindsight direction. We trade in the forward direction, and so that's why we have to stick to a process. And that's the reason that this is not an A plus setup. The market has to convince us. We don't have to convince the market. All right, so now we're gonna see what happens next. But we know this is not A plus. But will it go to target? No, actually it doesn't. So that's even more reason to weed this out. And we can see what happens here. Okay, so now we have another high that we can sweep, but we came up kind of strong. And we'll see how it inverses. So we'll scroll a little at a time. Okay, this has potential. Well, it's starting to kind of drift. Okay, so here if we start to mount another sweep, yeah, this is all kind of just drifting, and it could drift to target. It could drift to target. Okay, so there was a reaction after this SysD. So once again, though, this is not A plus entry model. So we would have not. I don't think we wouldn't have traded this, because we know what we're looking for. We're looking for something more like this, where we kind of drift up and we go straight down like that. That would have been an A plus. This kind of mini candle, slow drift down, and SysD over here, there's no decisive point where we closed. Boom, like that. So we're looking for something more like, and then that kind of candle, and the SysD like that. So once again, part of the reason that these are so disheartening is that we have so many other components, meaning that there is going to be good reason for it to go to target, or at least be a one-to-one. But we're holding out. I mean, we don't trade in the hindsight direction. So that's why our entry model and our process involve this type of look, not this slow drift down kind of look. So there will be a lot of heartbreaking ones where we don't get in and we watch it go to target. But it's because we have a strong process. And it looks here now we have a 2-hour POI as well that appeared. But our entry model, that's the other component. That's a very selective type of look we're looking for. And when we don't get it, our process involves not getting in, even though we know that with all the other components, that this even has a decent chance of going to at least a 1-to-1 like this. And so this is why you got to be prepared to see something like this and realize that that's just the market doing its thing. And the market can do this, but we are looking for this type of move, this type of entry model, not this slow drift down type of model. And that's just that. And we have to assess our success and whether it's a win or not. We have to judge our work not by the outcome, but by the process. And if we followed our process and we did this out, then we did good. We consider that a good decision. Trading's about decisions. And just to be complete, it does play out even further. And the jack handle, the engagement with the POI, and then the down move towards liquidity, the draw on liquidity. And see, it's not unexpected. We had all the other components. We just didn't get the entry model that we were looking for. We just didn't get it. It didn't show us that kind of move that we're looking for in our entry model. But the draw on liquidity, that's not a surprise. That's not unexpected because we had read everything else. So that is, we should take solace in that, yes, it went to target. That means the rest of our read was spot on. And we just are very selective for the A+. There's a reason they're A+. But there's also reasons that non-A+s will go straight to target. And now we know why.